fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with a grin, risking head and skin. If we're behind then never mind, we'll fight and win, for we're from Tigerland. We never weaken till the final siren's gone, like the tiger.
Good evening, Tigercast fans. Welcome to the Monday Night Live show. Grok, yes, I know I've still got the wrong song in there, first and foremost. I haven't had a chance to fix that. I shook my own head because I'm like, shit, I'm going to get pulled up on this again. Hope everyone's doing well from wherever you are around the world, because we do reach a global audience, which is really cool. Apologies about the delays. CB was just bragging about how good of an umpire he was on the weekend just gone. Fill us in, CB. How'd you go, mate? Because the chat had a lot to say about you even officiating a game. I'm sure they'll be quick to remind in chat tonight. But how did your umpiring go?
I can't cross to the dark side. I absolutely sucked. I am dead set. Like, I can't do it. I can't become what I despise. So, no good. And like I said, you've seen some footage that I sent you about how I went on the specky bag as far as being underneath it. That was exciting as well.
Yes, I will seek permission to share that, because that was quite humorous to see that. No, you're a good sport. You're a good sport with the specky bag. Grok, I know I mentioned you at the start, but I didn't officially welcome you. How are you, mate? Hope you're going well.
Yeah, going well, mate. Decided to jump on. It's had progress reports to do today, but I figured I'll just get them done tomorrow. I've got a pretty cruisy day tomorrow at work, so I can get all my paperwork done tomorrow. So I figured I'd jump on, and looking forward to discussing it.
Very good. And EJ, loving the display picture, the first one for the year.
Yeah.
It's a young photo of him as well.
That's his draft of the year photo. Yep.
Yeah.
My boy, I think I'm going to talk about him a little bit later. Some words have been said, so I'm hoping it bears fruit. And what do you mean, Razor, about not becoming what you despise? Aren't you already there?
Yeah, well,
I
do have a lot of self-loathing, don't I? So yeah, maybe.
Tubby, we're going okay so far, but we won't get too excited. There's still time for technical issues to kick in, but we'll see how he goes.
In my defense, I sent Michaels a clip, and I was being honest. Well, no, Michaels, there's nothing coming through.
No, you weren't playing funny buggers. We did actually work out how to fix it afterwards, so if it does happen, we know what to do to fix it. And Middlewood, yeah, I'll tell you what, it's not far off just joining in and just being one of them, I guess, but I'm sure I'll get there one day. Before we get stuck into the game side of things, a really obviously exciting announcement that Tom Burton was signed on today by the club as part of the SSP program to get the last spot on the list. He had a really good game in the VFL on the weekend. Interestingly, his profile and the way he's played has more been about being a halfback or running defender, but he actually was playing up forward for a bit and kicked a nice goal to start the game off. Captain of the Western Jets. I'm just going to bring up his draft profile quickly because I think it's something good to talk to. So if we look at his analysis, we've got strengths, dare, leadership, running power, speed, versatility, work rate, improvements, decision-making, kicking efficiency, and size. Now, I am probably going to assume there's going to be a lot of people that aren't thrilled with the improvement side of things, but the strengths are really nice as well. And I think you back yourself to improve the decision-making and kicking efficiency as a club for a young player. But Grok, what did you make of signing of Tom Burton? It was obviously out of him and Dowling by the end of it. I mean, poor Dowling only had 6 days to impress. I thought he did okay. But did you think we would go this way? And what do you expect to see from Thomas Burton throughout the year?
Looking back at what our draft strategy was over the past 12 months, it makes sense that they went Burton, obviously getting pace and speed and, ball winning and aggression, that sort of side of things. But I look at the current list profile and where he's pegged to play and where he's played as his juniors. And I feel like we've got too many players in the depth positions that the club has been wanting him in, either as a halfback, the wing midfield, or as a half forward. I'm happy to back the club in, but at this point, I feel for Dowling, given everything that's happened, 6 days, 7 days at the club. and ruck being a glaring weakness. But I'm happy to back Burton in. I just think this is long term one of the. I think it's probably the wrong choice at this stage for where the list needs to be in 3 or 4 years' time.
I guess, EJ, maybe the thinking was if they wanted someone to impact this year. I don't know if Dowling would have impacted at AFL level. I'm not sure how his size physically from a strength point of view stacks up against other backup ruckmen. I thought he did okay in the VFL, and I actually really hope we sign him to the VFL program and maybe something opens up down the line. But I think Burton really put his name up in lights on the weekend, EJ, and he couldn't have put a better foot forward if he tried.
Yeah, true. There were a few who put their name up in lights in the VFL. That was an enjoyable watch. And, obviously we haven't spoken about it yet, but congratulations and well done to yourself. It was a fantastic effort. And the interview afterwards was superb as well. Look, I'm just going to have to back the club in. They obviously see something in Burton that they believe that is the right fit for the list and it's going to work. Right, they think, right, we can't pass this kid up. That's the way that I have to look at it, because we all think that we need to invest in ruck, given the rule, and no doubt we'll talk about Nank a bit later on, and our current situation with injured players, etc., etc. I thought they'd go that way, but they just must see something in Burton that says, right, we can't let this slip. We can't let this go anywhere else. That's the only way I can look at it, really.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I think it also, for me, it maybe suggests that we are getting some cattle back. So I did read today that Samson Ryan, Hayes Brown, and a few others were out with the main group doing a very light session. So maybe we know that that's on the horizon. But CB, his numbers are really good. And a lot of people even noted in chat after watching the highlights that it was kind of odd that he wasn't drafted to begin with. And at the end of the day, we didn't have to make a selection for this SSP. So to EJ's point, we obviously felt strongly enough that we must keep him on our list at all costs. Averaged 29.6 disposals for the Western Jets, was their captain, and knows how to find the footy. And what I loved about his game on the weekend, CB, is I loved his tenacity, his double efforts, second, third, fourth effort, smothering, chasing, tackling. Like, he just plays with a great level of intensity. And I think that intensity is maybe something that we feel we aren't seeing a lot of in the AFL practice games that we've seen. So it could be something in the way he plays that is an attractive prospect.
Oh, it makes me sick to say it, but I agree with EJ and I agree with yourself. I just think, I think you boys have nailed it. There's clearly something that they've identified in the list. There's clearly something that he's bringing to the table. And obviously, they're not thinking about the now; they're also projecting down the line. And you got to remember too. I think what are the stats? Is it only 3% of players get drafted up, through the programs, and at the end of the day, only 3% make it through. So, there's a lot of talent, as we've seen through the VFL system. Ultimately, as they miss out and get drafted, they go to the VFL. They make it in other avenues. Not getting drafted doesn't mean you can't play football, if you know what I mean. So, clearly, he's bringing a bit to the table, and hey, back him in, back the team in. Let's see how he goes. I'm excited. And congratulations to him. It's good.
Absolutely. And it was such a nice video the club posted up of Uze letting him know. He was really emotional about it. You could see how much it means to him to be on the list, and even to the point where he wasn't even convinced they were going to read his name out to get the spot. So you love seeing someone that wears his heart on his sleeve like that, and good to see him sort of embrace letting that emotion out. And yeah, good on him. And I'm not sure what number he's received yet. I don't know whether they've actually gone to that announcement yet. But
Brenton Mann said there was no number yet.
Okay, no number yet. But on the back of what we saw on Saturday in the VFL, I'm actually really excited to see what he does on a more permanent time frame, because we've got to remember he missed quite a bit of this preseason period with injury, so we didn't really get a good look in match sims at all. So he's definitely cashed in when it counts, and good on him. So I'm sure we'll see more Burton over the weekend, over the next few months.
Your point on the effort and the second effort and the chase and the desperation and the desire, it was really evident. And
100%
there are a few players that's the missing part of their game. And isn't it funny how often that it's the players that miss out that really show that quality? Think about your Liam Bakers and your Lamberts and players like that.
Nathan Broad.
No, they never. You can never question their desire and their commitment and their effort. That's something you can't question. And I think that's what really stands out with some of these kids that miss first time round.
Let's talk about too. Also, with Michaels now, he's becoming a media harlot. His new best friend, his new bestie, Manny, as he calls him, mate. All I got in text messages, Brenton this, Brenton that. Come on, mate. You just need to. You're on the verge of getting a come on, man, with your text messaging to the group. And you need to calm down, Michaels. You need to calm down.
Jeez, that is all unfounded bullshit. No, it was good fun. It was good fun.
CB's coming across as a little bit jealous.
He's just thrown out of the bus. No, it was a good day. It was a really good day. I was really obviously fortunate to be able to do that. And I thought it went okay, and hopefully we can do a few more as the year goes on. But Brenton's awesome. He's a gun at what he does. Like, there's no way I could have done what he did, so I just let him do his thing, and I just chip in every now and then. It'd be better to do when we have stats too, to be able to reference things like that as well. But thank you again to the club for giving me the chance.
Just going back to Burton for a second, there was a good point made as well about the boys' reaction to Burton being announced as well. You can tell already that the boys absolutely love him. And I was thinking about the interview you had with Rai Gishan after the draft, where you asked him about Callaway and why the club didn't select him. And he made a point that they're at the stage now where they're only going to draft players onto the list that they think will have elite AFL traits or contribute in a meaningful way at AFL level. So the fact that they've drafted Burton off essentially 6 weeks or 7 weeks of training because of the layoff that he had obviously speaks volumes about what the club thinks that he can bring. So I'm happy to back the club in.
Yep, and it's going to create some really good pressure for Spots as well, because I think he's going to make a lot of people ahead of him slightly nervous with how he plays, which is a really, really good thing. The next topic we'll get into, I don't like this topic, but we'll talk about the injury news. Obviously, the shittest thing that came out of the game on Friday was Sam Cumming, who has today, it's been announced to be out for at least 4 weeks. I think it's important to note the word at least, because that definitely leaves it open for interpretation to be longer. With the shoulder, because they said they're going to keep building up the strength and to keep getting scans to reassess. There was nothing that really actually happened. It happened right in front of me. He just was involved in a chain of play. He might have reached out for a tackle, and it sort of just slipped out. So a little bit innocuous. I suppose we've talked about clubs with going to the surgery option straight away is not being the first thing they want to do. With shoulders, though, I just have a bad feeling it's going to end up in the surgery path. Happy for them to wait the 4 weeks to see if it heals naturally, because you want to avoid it. But I think it's just one of those unlucky things. But to go further, so that I can get your overall thoughts on it, the current injury list, to the best of my knowledge, is Sam Cumming, Josh Smiley, Tom Sims, Samson Ryan, but he did do some training today. Nick Vlosten also trained today. Hayes Brown, but also trained today. Jonty Fall, who will exit concussion protocol shortly. Taj Houghton, Juddy Clark, Noah Bolter, who did some training, and Dion Prestia. I'm not sure if I've missed anyone else, but I think that's 10 or 11 names. The list has really crept up on us in a really quick way. What have you made of the Cumming injury, and then what about the injury list in totality with where everything's at? Or CB, you got your hand up?
I'll just say one thing with Cumming's injury. It's the same injury. He injured the same shoulder last year. So it should be noted that he had injured it last year with a similar subflex. It was a similar injury, wasn't it? So he's done the same thing twice. So just to, if people obviously putting Serple under fire for some reason or what have you, it was something that he did have. So and it is an issue that he has. So
on that as well, just to add on to that, it's a really good point. Serple's unfairly copped wax for this, because the reality is that Cumming played 2 or 3 other practice games and was fine. It's not, if this was his first hit out and it happened, you'd be like, okay, did they pull the trigger too soon? He'd played 2 or 3 other practice games, match sims, the works, and it was fine. So I don't think you can put it down to a mismanagement. Unfortunately, people with suspect shoulders are suspect of that happening, Grok. And
Yeah,
BJ, prime example.
100%. And I can say that with this, when they said at least 4 weeks, and then we'll look at the next steps, which may include surgery. If I was a betting man, and we're talking long term, I think I know what's going to happen.
Yep. I would be very, very surprised if we see coming even at AFL level before the bye round. I think they'll get the 4 weeks done. They'll reassess it. I reckon it'll end up in surgery. I think with shoulders, it's best to go in and strengthen that as much as possible surgery-wise early on, so you can get back to, normal functions. I think Serpil's copping a bad rap for a lot of the injuries. I mean, you have a look at some of the players. The only one that you could probably say was really a mismanagement of injury was probably Lawler last year, coming back from his first injury and then not lasting, 35 minutes into his return game before he pinged it again. I think that's where you could maybe question what Serpil's done. But again, these are all players that have had some form of injury layoff, whether it be extended or not in their draft years or over the past 2 or 3 years. So it's something that he's got to manage as well. Obviously, workloads, and even with the conditioning as well. But you have a look at players that, like Jack Graham, for example, who was drafted with shoulder issues and has forged out a decent AFL career. Chris Judd, similar, had cooked shoulders for 10 years. It's not the be all and end all that's concerning. I think it's better for him to have these injuries now while he's still growing and the body is, still relatively fresh and young, than this happens 3 or 4 years down the track and then try and recover. The 4 weeks at least for me is Richmond injury speak for at least 2 months. We always generally tend to undersell how long players will be out for. But I don't think there's any real concerns for players under Serpil. I think it's just been a mixture of a whole lot of things that aren't really in his control.
And as someone who's had a shoulder reco in the last few years, I regret not doing it sooner. Obviously, everyone is different. So, I'm not going to say I understand and know, the intricacies of his shoulder, because I don't. But if it's going to be ongoing and it's something that's going to be a managing thing, I can only say that my shoulder now, I reckon it's stronger than it was at any point before I even heard it. Like, it feels amazing now. So I would be surprised with the long-term investment that is being made, that it's at least not strongly considered.
Just RC Centres just said Smiley mismanaged, Houghton mismanaged. I don't know how Houghton's been mismanaged. We brought him in last year with a knee injury and he finished the season off. And this year he's actually played all the practice matches, done a full pre-season. He's played a practice match and come out with a stress fracture of the hip. I don't know how that's.
I suppose the theory on that being that if the injury came due to overuse or overloading, I don't know if that's how that injury comes about. If there's other ways it can come about, but that seems to be the sticking point. Is it a overuse and overload? But I was even talking on Saturday with Ry Geeshan about it, that the players have been rested throughout the off season. Like the young kids in their second year have had plenty of days off. So I think the club most definitely gave them all adequate rest days. But look, you'd obviously rather them out there than not. That's the bottom line.
Go
on.
I was going to say, my only concern with the Houghton overuse theory, or the one thing that I'm not sold on, is if it was overuse, you would think after the layoff that he had coming back from that ACL, the stress fractures would have happened earlier on in the preseason, where his body hadn't been conditioned, as opposed to the back end of it after he's gone through all of the conditioning, all of the endurance-based stuff, the strengthening, the conditioning, and then playing 2 practice games and not 2 practice games, but a practice game and a couple of intra-clubs. I just don't understand the timing of the overuse.
But But he did miss key sessions as well. And I sense everyone's frustration for sure, no matter what side of the coin you're on. We just want to see the kids out there playing, all the players out there playing. But in terms of some relative good news, Caesar did mention on Punt Road End in his viewings of training that Noah Bolter, Hayes Brown, Samson Ryan and Nick Vlosten did join the main group today, but it was a very, very light recovery type session. And Cumming was out there for 30 minutes, so with a non-contact cap on. So I guess it can't all be that bad if he's out there, but obviously acknowledging it, that could change after 4 weeks, as per those who have had shoulders can attest to. But good to see there might be some cattle eventually coming back in time for round 1. So injuries are not a fun thing, though. It's yeah.
Can I ask a question then? So with the injuries, how soon does the VFL season kick off after the AFL season?
I think it's about a week difference. So the VFL have got another practice game on the 12th of March, and I think it either starts the week after that or the following week. So there's about a week or two difference.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to work out is, if there's guys already starting to do training now, how far away are they from resuming through the VFL to possibly come into the senior team, like your Samson Ryans and etc.
Yeah, exactly right. So I mean, we obviously want to see him get some full training sessions in. Same as Josh Smiley. He was out there sort of doing other running drills and more drills the last couple of weeks. So I still think we're maybe a chance to see him do some early VFL action before hopefully getting a call up by about the midway point, which would be good.
Isn't the thing with Smell though? They're now working on his kicking.
That's what was triggering.
It's long kicking's the issue, isn't it? It's actually, which is pretty bizarre when you think about it. But yeah, it's the kicking mechanism that's causing the dramas.
Yeah, so and that's obviously what they had fixed with the surgery. So I guess they just got to wait for that to do its full heal, and then you've got to test it out at some point, don't you? You've got to work through it and see what you can do.
I was just about to share that with Peter. Our first VFL match is the 21st
of March. Okay, there we go. So that'll be here before we know it. But we did have a game on Friday. Well, we had some of a game on Friday. I tell you what, that was, look, I know you got to call it off for safety, but there was a lot of pissed off people there. I didn't care so much. We made a day of it. It was a bit of fun. But we did go up to Ballarat, and the D's did get, well, they got the win, if you want to call it that, by 35 points in 2 and a bit quarters of football. 12-6-78 defeated Richmond, 6-7 43, so it was a 35-point win. It was it's actually going to be a really nice ground/stadium once they get that fully developed, but it was so windy there that it was very reminiscent of Casey Fields in terms of the wind tunnel. But what I suppose I was finding a little bit frustrating was that the D's adapted to that a lot better and were able to sort of hit their targets and pick their way through a bit better than what we were doing at times. I suppose, Grock, the first thing to talk about, it still felt like there were times where the D's were slicing through us, not felt like they did, with quick, slick ball movement. And I just felt like that our midfield was sometimes a little bit pedestrian. And maybe that was why I then also felt that the back line seemed unorganised, but maybe it was just because of the speed in which the ball was coming down that they couldn't actually get set.
Yeah, as I mentioned to you before we went on air, the midfield, again, for me, the defensive pressure and some of the setup and structures, again, are concerning. And I haven't really seen anything to indicate that they've been working on it or they've been trying anything different. Too many times the D's, I mean, we know how much of a gun that Max Gawn is, but from Gawn down to their midfield, straight in, hitting a leading forward on the chest, lace out with little to no pressure, or from a kick out or a turnover at halfback, out half forward and carving their way through the midfield with no Richmond player within 5 meters of them at any time. That was really, really concerning, especially at this point. You can sort of understand it again in the first practice match against Essendon, getting the cobwebs off, but a week and a half, 2 weeks out from round one, and you still haven't quite got your defensive structures and your defensive transitions in place. That's where I'm worried, especially I'm feel dirty saying this, and I'm going to have a shower, but seeing Carlton the way that they've played against Brisbane and Geelong, it's left me really concerned about round one. Really concerned.
CB, what do you make of the game?
How long you got?
Not that long. Keep it brief.
My whole concern at the moment is, I know we talk about the midfield mix, but I've got serious concerns about Nank's ability to compete now with this new ruck rule. And I think we're going to be starting centre bounces a lot of the times. We're already in defence mode. Like Max Gawn showed us exactly why Nankervis is going to struggle with this. And it's not a knock on Toby Nankervis. He's a wonderful warrior and he's terrific for the club and he's wonderful for the young blokes. But it's just, I've been alarmed. You know, Essendon, I was like you, Grock, you're going, oh, you know. But all of a sudden you saw it with a guy like Gawn, who was best on ground by the length of the Flemington Straight, and you were like, shit, we've got a problem. We actually have a problem here because Nank can't body him out. So, and then the flip side was too, I was watching the centre clearance and we had Taranto on a defensive setup on one side and Melbourne had on behind Gawn, their guy, and he was just running straight through from behind the contest straight through. And it was just like, we're not like witches' hats. It's insulting to the players, but it was just the ease, as Grock said, the ease at which they could get through and just hit a forward up. Our defence had no chance. And that's alarming to me, and it's something that we can't even rectify from a ruck point of view. We can't rectify that for the whole year, and that scares the bejesus out of me, to be honest. And you think of Big Pit Net and some of the balls that's going through Carlton's midfield. We've got our work cut out for us in round one. There's no doubt in my mind.
What's the answer then, EJ? And give your other thoughts on the game as well. But what's the answer to rectify that?
I'm not remotely concerned about the practice games. We got towed up by Collingwood and we got towed up by West Coast last year, right?
40 points or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. So practice games are practice games. And I'm not even concerned if we lose the first few weeks. I said to CB the other day, this is another development year. If the balls don't fall our way, you know, we might not have a great season, but it's about getting games into the right people in the right positions. How do we get around? I echo everything that CB said about Nank. We've talked about it a lot the last couple of weeks, and it's becoming very evident now. I think we'll be okay from round 2 because I have a feeling that having seen what we've seen about these ruck contests, that I think that McKelty will come in and play as the second ruck. I really do. He's got a good leap. He's very physical. Nank is a warrior, but he couldn't jump over a jam tin. Like he's not a leaping ruckman. That's not his game.
It's never been his game. It's not he's not rucked that way for his whole career.
No, he's still going to do a great job dropping behind the ball. He's still going to be good at ground level and all the other stuff. But unfortunately, if they get it so easily out of centre bounce, it's a forward 50 entry. It's a forward 50 entry. It's a forward 50 entry. And it becomes an avalanche.
What's interesting with that is, as well, is we actually won the centre clearances 12-9. Again, the secondary part of that becomes, well, what does the quality of clearance look like between those two numbers? Yes. And ours was often a blast kick forward, and theirs was often, to your point, a clean inside 50 kick. So I think there's still things we need to tweak from a midfield setup. Having people on the defensive side, maybe the half-backs need to be a bit more alert. I don't know. There needs to be something we need to tweak to try and offset some of what's happening.
So Melbourne, it was a case of Gawn tapping down to a player on the move or their player coming from the back and coming through, and a couple of times our guys were in good position and got bodied out of the way, and then they're out the front and then they're off, right? I think we're going to be a hell of a lot better down back. Bolter will play round 1, I believe. I believe he was rested for this. It was a minor niggle. He'll be fine. And then if we get Vlosten guiding people in the back line, we'll be set up a lot better to deal with it anyway. So I think we might be in for a bit of pain in week 1, but it will be better than what it looked last Friday.
Yep.
You got no love for the tap?
Sorry?
You got no love for the tap? You're going with Lafau? No love for Fawcett?
I think Lafau's just a much more mature and stronger body. And I think he's physically able to dominate in the middle, where I don't think Fawcett is able to physically dominate yet.
That's the thing with Lafau's rugby background as well. As soon as the ball's on the ground in a contest, he'll be a lot more effective than what Fawcett will post-ruck contest. But I think the one rule that really neutered Nank is that you can't cross the line.
That's right.
Nank,
That's what does him in. That's what does him in.
Against the more mobile rucks who like to run and jump, Nank used to go past that line and stop them or force them to jump early. He can't do that anymore. He's essentially a sitting duck. He can't jump, so he's literally got to plant himself there and watch these much quicker, much more agile ruckmen either launch, knee him in the face, or give away a free kick. Like, there is only 2 options now because he's not going to win.
Well, the only thing he can do is change his angle. All he can do is literally change. If they're coming at him, he changes the angle. And it's the only option he has to hit him physically from a different angle.
Even backup ruck-wise, there's still some concerns there. Like, we had Campbell Gray in. Against the second-string ruck, it works okay, but if opposition work it well enough, like he was going up against Max Gawn, it's like, shit, the poor kid's being thrown to the wolves massively in a role he's not really equipped or done a lot of work in. So I felt really bad for him. Like, when he was against a similar type of play, he did well. He pushed forward, took a mark inside 50. He's actually quite athletic and mobile in his own right, but he just hasn't got the sheer height that Gawn's got in the body mass. But it's an interesting, it's a real predicament and it won't just be us. Like, you even hear about North Melbourne supporters talking about someone like Sherry struggling as well with the new rule. So it's not just us. There's going to be a lot of clubs who have a similar type of ruckman that are going to be up against it. But then it's then onto the midfield to try and work out a way to either shark the other ruckman's taps or to protect the opposition players from bursting out of the midfield.
Having said that too,
clubs that have got a TDK or a Luke Jackson or players like that, though, how good are they looking?
Oh, Luke Jackson's going to be ridiculously hard to stop.
But you could pinpoint the exact moment that Melbourne got momentum, and that was as soon as Gray went into the ruck against Gawn. As soon as that happened, that's where their midfield just exploded, and we had no answer. So I think, back to your point, Nank has to be number one. He has to be, but we can't be bringing the relief on against opposition number one ruckman either. Nope. And that's the balance that the club need to find, because it was exposed last week and it's going to be exposed again against ruckmen like Grundy, Darcy Cameron, Luke Jackson, those mobile rucks who get up the ground and constantly move around. So, I think the Burton signing makes me think that maybe we do have a ruck target in mind for the draft or trade period.
This is a really interesting point from Carl. Just intentionally give away a free kick by crossing the line early to slow play down out of the centre. If you're getting slaughtered, it's not the worst idea. But look, despite some of the clear things we need to work on, the one last thing I want to touch on before we talk about the positive stuff from that game, because there was positive stuff despite what the scorelines suggest. The amount of times that we are still shooting ourselves in the foot with an errant handball that goes to ground when we're on a counter-attack, or it goes slightly behind the guy running past. We just hurt our own momentum quite a bit. It happened, like I said, last year. And if we can just fix that by 5 or 10%, we will get some really good counter-attacking chains going. But the moment the ball hits the deck, teams just swarm, and then it ends up being a turnover or a stoppage, and you don't get the benefit of all the hard work done earlier. So fingers crossed we can fix that part. But if we look at some of the positives quickly as well, gents, Sam Lawler-Grock, I thought, again, looked really, really nice in the middle of the ground. I think he had a game-high 5 clearances, and obviously pushed forward again and showed that aerial marking prowess, even though he missed a shot at goal. It was a difficult kick from 55. But just again showed that he's going to be a very, very tricky matchup for opposition. If he's on a midfielder and he drifts forward, that's not favourable for other teams.
Yeah. I thought he had a really, really good game. And the thing that I liked the most was the way that he got the clearances. The handball gives that he gave off after winning the clearance.
They're elite handballs.
Reminded me a lot of Shane Edwards in that he didn't just immediately fire out the handball. He waited for a player to be in a better position to be able to make the most of the handball received to get a clearer kick away rather than just immediately handballing them under pressure. He delayed the dish off, which is a sign of an elite midfielder. And yeah, I'm really excited about what he can do as a midfielder. The kick that he had for goal, I would have liked to have seen him do better. But again, with the wind, you could make a case that it was a difficult shot. But again, missing by as much as he did is a little bit that needs work. But the rest of his game, I thought, was really, really solid. So yeah, plenty to look forward to. And I'd be surprised this year if he plays more forward than he plays mid. I reckon he's set for more mid time than he will as a forward this year.
I don't believe he tweaked his hamstring. I believe he just rolled his ankle. And he stayed out in the ground and run it off. I think it was just a bit of a rolled ankle.
I heard they took a chainsaw, like a bone saw that they were using in the Civil War, and actually took his leg off, mate. That's
took his
what I
ankle
heard.
off.
So, yeah.
No, he looked all right. I panicked too when I saw him limping around, but it was very much just a rolled ankle, which are not pleasant, but obviously not a bad outcome.
Yeah.
No bone saw?
No bone saw, not this time.
Okay.
Not this time. Tom Lynch, I thought, had a really good first up hit out. Kicked 2 goals, 3. Probably should have had 5 if we're being honest. Kicked one really difficult one and missed a couple of easy ones. But it was about presenting and the way he was attacking the contest, some second and third efforts. Like, we know he's not the quickest forward that we've got, right? We know that can be exposed in different ways. But I thought the way he was presenting was really strong and showed why he's still very much needed as the number 1 forward during this transitional period.
Well, we'd heard that he had a really, really good preseason.
Yeah.
Like the word was he'd had a really good preseason and he was looking fit and as strong as he's been for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen him attack contests high up the ground like that for a couple of years. Like, he really worked up the ground and he was clunking them. Like, the hands were. So he's that's as good a preseason games I've seen from Tom Lynch forever. So that's all you can ask for. I liked his aggression. I liked the fact that he didn't do Tom Lynch things when things didn't go his way. There's a couple of obvious free kicks, and normally Tom would then line someone up at a centre bounce and kill someone or do something dumb. He was able to curb his natural instincts. Apparently he's a new man. He's found religion, and he now, does Tai Chi and shit. I don't know. But he said he's not going to be belting blokes anymore, which is great. But
he just looks lean and fit.
But he showed leadership out there as well. So he didn't lose his nana. He competed. He did everything that we would want of our one experienced, real big key forward, and he looked great. I liked it a lot.
EJ, you know who I'm going to ask you about? Your man.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon you can put your
Kane McAuliffe for those who aren't playing along at home. Kane McAuliffe is EJ's man.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly go back to Lynch because Lynch has said something about McAuliffe, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I would say that you can put your house on McAuliffe having a good season, and if you are going to buy a house, go to Aussie Ringwood and speak to the guys there, and they'll sort you out.
Luke will 100% sort you out. He's a Richmond nuffy as well, so make sure you hit him up.
Yep. Look, you can definitely talk about the negatives of McAuliffe's game. There was a couple of shocking kicks, but in the percentage of game time, the possessions he's getting, he's going to average in the mid-20s this season. He looks comfortable on the wing. He's got a good tank, and from that 17 possessions I think he had was 461 metres gained. So as Grock was saying, before we hit live, he's going forward and he's taking ground. Lynch has said that McAuliffe is the one that he expects to have the breakout year. It's the first time he's had an uninterrupted pre-season. It's the first time he's completed a pre-season, And I think it really shows. He's on top of the ground. You can see it. So if he can stay fit, I don't see him not being in the side for the majority of the season.
What I was most impressed about with his game on the wing is knowing that he was only asked to play this a few weeks ago, was how well he was holding width. Like, he was a real outlet option. He took 7 marks, and whether this was by design or not, but he was used quite a lot coming out of the back line because he was holding his width to be an option for an exit kick. And I just think he's taken to the role really well. And I've said this for a couple of years now, that he was getting 17 to 20 disposals with 69 to 70% game time. He will be a 25 disposal plus player on a wing because his work rate seems to be there, gets into space really well, and it could be the making of him. And I know that, you said at the start, EJ, some of his kicks were, a bit to be desired, but all players have done that. He won't be the first nor the last. I was really happy with him, and I think he has absolutely cemented a round 1 spot on the wing, no questions asked. Before I get to go. Yeah,
I was going to say, as CB would say, put your house on McAuliffe being Richmond's most improved player at the Jack Dyer Awards. Put your house on it.
In fact, go to Aussie Home Loans, get a big loan, buy
a second house.
Sports bet.
Jeez.
Go to Aussie Ringwood.
We're getting into David Schwartz territories here about bank the interest and all that.
National Roman, McAuliffe isn't what you would call lightning quick, but he has good acceleration. So he's quick off the mark. So it's that initial 5 metres, he can get away. And he has a good tank. He will run all day. The improvement in him being still going in the second half is what I've noticed in the preseason.
Yep.
And that was something that was desperately needed.
His acceleration reminds me a lot of Dusty in that you wouldn't call him overly quick, but his ability to hit max speed off a standing step is insane. He gets to top speed so quickly. His first 4 or 5 steps, he'll put 6 or 7 meters on his opposition. That's when they'll catch up. But his initial burst is fantastic. Same as Rechko. If you watch the VFL game on the weekend, Rechko was similar as well.
He had a really good game as well. He's another one that the question was asked about who would be on the other wing. I still think he's a really good chance. Hugo, I don't know. Has Hugo done enough to lock in a wing spot? I'm not sure. Has Sonzi? Some weeks he has, some weeks he hasn't. Rechko is maybe still an unknown. It's really up for debate, isn't it?
RFC Centre's question, right? So EJ and I were talking about today. I think Sonzi will get the wing gig over Hugo based on his preseason. I think he's probably performed a little better. Hugo, again, they're practice matches, so I don't know. I just think Hugo and Rechko are ahead of. Sonzi and even Rechko might be ahead of Hugo, and even Trainer for that wing position at this stage.
See, based on what I saw in the VFL, I'd have Rechko line up round 1 over Sonzi and Hugo, only for the simple fact the other two are known quantities at AFL level. We know exactly what their strengths are. We know what their weaknesses are. We know what they're going to provide. Rechko, why not give him a go, see what he can provide? He may surprise a few. And again, the big difference with Rechko is doesn't have, or at least on first viewing, as many of the deficiencies as the others. He just seems like that very level player. Like, he's not going to have a high ceiling, but he's not going to have a low floor either, as opposed to someone like Hugo and Sonzi, where the upside might be better, but also their bad games are going to be a hell of a lot worse than what Rechko's bad games will be. And
Rechko for those who are asking,
for those who are asking about Rechko's kicking, he was a pretty good kick in the VFL on
he had
the
some
weekend.
really good leading forwards. Yeah, he was good.
The wind was shocking at times, particularly towards one end, but he was the only one on the ground that was kicking them low and hard to make sure that they carried where they needed to be, as opposed to just hitting them up high and letting the wind take them. That shows footy IQ, and it's something that we desperately need in the side, knowing and playing to conditions, keeping them low 5-6 meters off the ground to make sure you get that 50-meter kick. Massive.
That hit on the near flank that we saw, and we were behind the kick, and you saw it go to the leading player. and there was no way that anyone else was going to be able to get that ball. That was mint.
He was good. And he was actually really ferocious at the contest too. So that ticks another box. Another player I want to talk about quickly before we get to a couple of the other ones that were clear standouts. It was good to see Maurice Rioli get some love in chat as well, because I really liked he had probably limited opportunities from a minutes perspective, and because the game got called off twice. But the time he was on the ground, I thought he was clean. He had some really good clean pickups, had one bad kick, but again, we can't hang people having one bad kick because all players are going to do it. But I thought he chased really well, was running hard all the time, and I thought he was making some good decisions and getting around the ground really nicely.
Yeah. In terms of time played and disposals, I would say he was our most impactful player across the 2.5 quarters that were played. Every time he had the ball, bar one, or anytime he was around the ball, something positive happened for us. Either he marked and goaled, or he set up a goal, or he forced a turnover. He was the barometer. I don't know, we hate using that word, but he really set us up, particularly in that first quarter. He was, for me, probably our most impactful player in terms of the scoreboard and the contributions that he had.
He looks really fit too.
He does. It's been his biggest preseason. It's pumped for him. The player I want to talk about.
Maurice Rioli, I know you watch his show, Maurice Rioli Jr. I backed you in for round one last year. I backed you in, and you let me down, you son of a bitch. You let me down, and it cost me a study hole with a viewer because I said, hands down, you will start round one, and you torched me. So you better bloody start round one this year, MRJ. That's all I'm saying. You cost me.
He will. I reckon he will. The other player I want to talk about who I thought had a really standout game was Sam Grill. He has to be a lock for round one. And I maybe wasn't sure about that 3 or 4 weeks ago. I wasn't sure if he was going to be ahead of some of the plays in a similar spot. But whether he starts on the bench, whatever that looks like, I don't really care. He's got to play round one. His burst of speed, his energy, we say it all the time, but the 3 efforts he had off halfback with different chains of possession to then finally get the ball to Luke Traynor, who got it inside 50. The kid just doesn't give up. What I love, and I think what everyone loves, is he's trying to make something positive happen every time he touches the ball. And he even hit a really nice pass exiting defensive 50 to Taranto, a well-weighted kick. I don't think he could do much more, EJ. I think he is as close to a round one lock as you could get currently.
He is a lock.
EJ's boy Grill.
Yeah, George. I can't believe we're not going with it. No, I like Sizzle. It's good. It's good. His willingness and want to go once he's got it. There's that beautiful chain through the guts where give, go, all that sort of stuff. Look, let's not get overexcited and say that our prayers have been answered because he's going to make mistakes. It's his first year. But I think medium term, there's that Rioli dash sorted.
Yeah. The pleasing thing for me too was that passage on halfback where he burst through the middle was the fumble and the way that he dealt with it. He didn't lose composure even at top speed. He was still running. He was clean. He took that little half step to pause for the ball to bounce back up rather than trying to bend over at full speed and lose his balance and knock the ball on. And I know I've made the Dusty comparison a lot, but the way that he seeks players out to take them on, it's like, come on, I dare to try and tackle, and bursting through those tackles through the middle. For a first-year player who's weighs less than a wet towel is insane. For him to be able to be breaking tackles already in his 3-month preseason, very positive signs.
I think when Vlosten... So in that defensive 6, we've still got Vlosten and Bolter to come into that defensive 6 unit. If I was Tom Brown, I'd be rather nervous because I've got Grill in that defensive 6. So Tommy Brown at the moment, I think he's in that 50-50 spot for a round one berth.
Well, it's a defensive 7 or 8.
What's that?
Because you're going to have it's a defensive 7 or 8 because you're going to have defenders on the bench.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. You've still got
It'd be-
Gray, you've still got Floston, you've got Bolter. This Short's not getting dropped, so there'll be
It'll be
8 guys.
one of 3. It'll either be Short, Brown, or Trainer that'll miss out. It'll be one of those 3.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if recent viewing is anything to go by, I don't see Trainer playing round 1. He just hasn't been able to. Well, he hasn't played a fully fledged AFL preseason game of any notable minutes. He's always been on the short end of the minutes and then topping up at VFL level. And I guess they're clearly not playing him on the wing. So we know that he's going to be played as a defender because they've not put him anywhere else. But it's how does he break into that spot when you've got the guys like Broad and Vlosten and that coming back? I think it's actually a really interesting moment in time for him because he played the most games out of all the draftees last year. Was really good, multi-positioned, but now there's the reluctance to play him on the wing, but there's not really a specific spot for him as a defender either. It's a really interesting point in time.
He hasn't done himself any favours either, though, in the games that he's played because his disposal has been woeful, and that's being kind. His disposal by hand and by foot has been absolutely atrocious. And if you're looking at it and the way that we want to play, you're not going to play him over Tom Brown, who's an elite kick of the football.
And Gibcus is down there too. Like there's going to be some unlucky players who miss out come round 1. And next week, maybe we do a bit of a show about trying to pick we have to pick our best 23, don't we? We've still got to do that.
Well, question for you. How did you rate Gibcus's game against Melbourne?
It was nothing massively leapt off the table, but he didn't do anything I don't think it's hard. The defenders were at the mercy of the lack of pressure on the ball carrier, so that a lot of them probably looked worse than what they actually were. For me, though, I have no issue in Gibcus getting all of those minutes in those last 2 games because it's about the confidence in the body, and he gets more of that confidence by playing against the higher level teams at a high level. Whether or not he ends up playing round 1, I don't know. But I've got no issue with him getting all the minutes in the world preseason. And it's hard to tell how good he went because the boys we allowed.
I guarantee for anyone who's ever played football, understand this. If you're a defender, you will always look slow if that ball is just screaming through the middle. So Gibcus might look slow at times, but I'll give you the tip. When the ball's coming through like it was, there's nothing you can do because it's coming lace out low and hard and you're buggered.
Gibcus did what he needed to do. There was one effort that I think he probably would like again early in the first quarter where the ball was going into Melbourne's forward line and he just gave up. Didn't really go hard at the ball carrier or drift back to try and block space. Caught in no man's land and then just sort of stopped and watched. But again, for a bloke who's played 6 games, I think since his debut year, you got to give him some leniency. You got to let him get that match fitness in because again, yes, he's playing practice games. Yes, he's playing intra-club or match sim games, but that's a completely different ball game to playing AFL football against an opposition club in the premiership season. So
And
I think right now the club is just wanting to get consistency into Gibcus. I think they'll play him because they have to for Gibcus and for the club. Better to get the games into Gibcus now and then come by, maybe reassess if he's not performing, who might come in for him. But with how much you've invested in Gibcus with the surgeries and the flights overseas to get everything, seeing the specialists, you want to get some form of return. So completely writing him off now makes no sense.
No, that's all fair enough. Well, that is the review side of it done for the D's game. I suppose before we go to Come On Man, now that preseason is officially wrapped up in totality from a games perspective, is there anything overarching that you can take out of it? And EJ, you made the great point earlier on that the results of last year were not great, and then we obviously had a really good showing round 1. Not at all suggesting that that's going to happen again because, you just never know what will transpire. But were there any overarching things, either good or bad, to take out of the preseason so far when you sort of then look at what North were able to do, what Carlton did and things like that?
Oh, look, I'd rather be a Richmond supporter than a North supporter. I know that. Oh,
Didn't they win their
I think-
last one? They knocked off Collingwood, didn't they, yesterday?
Yeah, better by
Yeah,
a point.
1 point.
Yeah, but I'm much more comfortable with where we're at. I really am. And I don't care if we don't have a great season. It doesn't worry me. What have I taken out of the preseason? Grill's ready to go. Fantastic. He's going to be a good player for a long time. McAuliffe looks to have stepped up. It's great to see Lawler look fit and untroubled. And we talk about Gibcus needing game time and needing confidence. And if there's comments in there saying he looks like he lacks confidence and this and that, Lawler looks just ready. Like he's fine. So Lynch looks fantastic. So there's plenty of positives. The concern for me is the ruck. But outside of that, I'm just really looking forward to the season. Bring it on. And I've just found out that I'm going to a neutral game this week. I'm going to go down Saints and the Pies.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited. Footy's back. Let's go.
Footy is back. Grok, what are your final thoughts or feelings from the preseason?
Again, like EJ, ruck is still a concern. It was the concern that we've had for 2.5 years now, and as Nank's getting on, it's becoming like the alarm bells are now going off. Like it was just you see the storm coming on the horizon. It's now here. So that's something that we need to address over the next 12 months. In terms of positives, I do like you can see that there's genuine intent with the ball movement from half back now. You can see what we're trying to do, especially early in games where we're trying to move it quicker. We're trying to go, fast. And even switching, I like that we're switching the ball a lot more to the open side rather than going down the wing. Although against Melbourne, the one thing that we always know is pick Max Gorn out on the field and kick it directly to him.
The amount of people that commented on that in the first kick of the game, I'm like, couldn't believe it.
But ball movement from half back, I think, has genuinely improved. There's an actual identity that we're trying to play with, which we didn't see last year. And the midfield mix that they're trying to put in place, or when they're experimenting, having the younger guys go through has shown some results and some promising signs. So I hope we see a bit more of that, especially towards the back end of the season, where wins don't really matter. I think there's some positive signs to build on.
CB, what are you taking out of preseason?
I'm just trying to work out if our preseason was a C+ or a D. My problem is my problem is, and I understand what you're saying, Grok, and I understand what you're saying, Age. There are still some issues that we had last year that seem to still be there this year, and that's the concern I have, and it does revolve around that midfield. I've got faith in the defensive six. I see how there's still some connections. It's just still we're developing, yes, but I just see, I don't know. I still see some of the same problems we had last year. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I hope we come out and we go absolutely gangbusters on round one, but I think it's another development year, shall we say? And the off-season
always
will
was,
be very
though.
interesting.
It always was a development. Anyone else who thought otherwise might be just a year or two ahead of himself, in my opinion. It's for me the real years will start to be your sort of 2028 onwards when you get those guys to 65, 75, 85 games. That's when you actually start to see the reward for the development. So there's still going to be a pain in the next couple of years for sure. But hopefully we can see some exciting football along the way at different times. Jonty, he was in concussion protocol from a knock at training.
He'll be
that
out by
or
the end of
Brock
the
was
week.
stalking him and headbutt him on the way out of his front door as he was keeping a close eye on him. But no, he'll be all right, I think, for round one. But what we're going to do quickly, we're going to go through some come on, man. We're going to, I don't know if there's any new nominations, EJ, but we'll recap
there is.
last
Yeah,
week.
I think I just got one.
Yeah, I was going to say CB's ratings.
No. There is
ratings.
something that was raised earlier in the show was what I meant to put forward. So yes, we do have a come on, man.
Well, while we're doing Come On Man, viewers watching, make sure you think of some questions, because after that, we're going to open the floor up for you to send through some questions to finish off on. But I don't have the audio locked away just yet, but it's time for Come On Man. Is that good enough if I just do that?
Right, fair income. Get your shit together. And CB, nomination, I don't need your negativity. Come on, man. I don't need your negativity, right?
I'm a positive guy. Don't be like that.
You're not a positive guy. Oh, we've still got problems. Oh, no shit. Rome wasn't built in a day. Get over yourself.
No shit.
Right? But so we can see the leaderboard there. It's the print's so small that I can't read it, but that's okay.
Oh, so the first one is Collingwood. Do I get bonus points for using the punt on Goodwill Hunting the movie?
Bad Will Hunting, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do I get bonus points there? Yeah.
Speaking of, do we touch on was it Peter Ryan? Someone sent through just after we'd signed off at the end of last week's show that there was it parent or grandparent or whoever had received a letter from Collingwood for their wills 3 years after they'd already died. Like, again, we're just going to tack that on. Like, that's disgraceful.
Like, fair income. What a shit club. The Come On Man this week is the ruck rule, right?
Ooh.
That fast that we saw where Brodie Grundy sort of stopped and the guy stepped over and the free kick was paid, right? Now, you're not allowed to contest. And here's the issue, is that the ball was thrown up by the umpire, crooked, and it went over to Grundy's side. If he didn't step over the centre line, he couldn't contest the ruck. So instead of being a free kick to Grundy, it should have been a rethrow. Now, we bought in the bloody throw up because the bounces was shit, and now they can't even throw it up straight. Just bin the rule. Come on, man.
Wow.
100%.
I didn't see that one, but that sounds disastrous.
Go and watch that free kick. Go and watch the free kick where Grundy stops, and you can see the ball. It's thrown up straight, but it was wind, and it just blows straight over to Grundy's side.
Yeah, it's such
shocking.
a stupid rule that, again, the not being able to cross the centre line rule, it implies that the ball has to be straight up and down. It doesn't factor in wind drift. It doesn't factor in anything else. If the ball even moves half a metre over to one side of the ruckman, like, you're essentially penalising the opposition ruckman for not being able to compete, which is absolutely ridiculous. The rule should be that you should not be able to make contact with the opposition ruckman while the ball's in the air unless you're physically jumping for it. Let them cross the line, but don't make contact unless you're actually jumping for the ball. That would fix everything.
My concern's also there's going to be a rise in PCL injuries. That's why I actually went back to what the rule we've just got rid of. It was designed to remove PCL injuries on ruckman. And we're going to look at Neil for Geelong in the practice match, knee on knee.
Yep.
It's coming.
It's
coming.
EP Rider Girl made a good point in chat as well. How do rucks see the line if they're looking at the ball?
Yeah, they're looking up. That's a great point.
Like, honestly, it's just a stupid rule. Put it in the bin. Right?
I've got come on, man.
That can go to number 3. Michaels.
Okay, noted.
I've got one. It might have been from earlier today. Andrew Dillon. Did anyone see the comments that he made today?
No.
What's he done?
He said he's going to petition the Olympic Committee to make AFL an Olympic sport for the 2032 Brisbane Olympic Games.
Oh,
God.
Like,
an Olympic sport?
You've tried to grow the game in China. It didn't work. You can't even get a game, in New Zealand, which is where quite a few players have come from. But you want to make this an Olympic sport? Are you serious? Come on, man.
Yeah, that's
surely it's only as a demonstration, not as a medal event.
Yeah.
Surely.
I think he is literally doing this in response to the NRL and the success that they've had in Vegas. It'll be all it is. It'll be a knee-jerk reaction.
That's a good one. That's fair enough. Was there any other come on mans for this week?
Oh, Peter.
I'd just like to say wild card round.
Hair.
Wild card round will be my nomination every week until wild card round appears.
Like a perpetual nomination.
Can I defend the AFL slightly on this?
No.
On the wild card round?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, wild card round. I thought you were talking opening round. Wild card round, bin it, stupid. Yep. With opening round, I'm going to give the AFL a small. I'm not going to give them a bouquet. I'm going to give them a single flower. What? I understand the reasoning behind opening round focusing on the northern states because
that's
the rest of us are football states.
Play everyone though.
Ideally, play everyone as we discussed last year and give the marquee slots for the first 3 days, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, to all the northern states and give them the marquee slots and put us on at Sunday at 4:40 p.m. Who cares? Tick. Yeah. But given that they're not having a full round, to have the 4 northern games and then 1 in Victoria, tick. And if they're not going to go a full round, next year have the 4 northern games and 1 in South Australia. And the year after that, the 4 northern games and 1 in WA. If you're not going to go to a full round, which I bloody hope you do. But at least there's a game in a football heartland in opening round.
I'd like to see the 4 rounds.
So the tweet is from AFL CEO Andrew Dillon has confirmed the legal push to have the Aussie rules included at the 2032 Brisbane Olympics. Our sport is a sport that should be on that stage. We'll work closely with the Olympic Committee on what form that takes. So that's a quote from Andrew Dillon.
AFLX.
Super duper goals. Just on, I saw that thing, like if we make the wild card, you'll be all over it. Understand this nuclear days. Online, I'm a dickhead troll like everybody else. And if we've achieved a final, I know EJ, you're shocked. If we've achieved a final from 10th, I'm in it purely for the troll value and nothing else because it's a mockery and I will mock it accordingly.
I'm mocking it, yeah, fair enough.
And Jones Racing makes a great point. After the 4 northern games, fantastic to have a game in the heartland, but it's on the Sunday when the Grand Prix on.
Jesus.
That is actually a come on, man.
Yeah, that's pretty average.
Another one too, and we touched on it last week, is this fully ticketed games for members. It just came out that the Hawthorn-Essendon game is now fully ticketed. It's an Essendon home game, but it's also Hawthorn's away replacement game. And it's now fully ticketed. So even Essendon
they're just going to do it to all the games now. So they're going to make a squillion more dollars.
See, I'd be, if I was an Essendon supporter, an Essendon member, if I made it to 33 years of age. But if I'm paying as a general admin member, I bought that expecting to be able to go round 1 against Hawthorn to find out that it's fully ticketed and Hawthorn away members are getting in as well because it's their replacement game for selling their game to Tassie. I'd be absolutely filthy. Like, I think that situation is just completely messed up. Having it fully ticketed and a replacement home game for the away side, you'd be pissed off if you were an Essendon member.
Fair point. All right, well, before we finish up, let's take some questions from the audience. I do have a quiz lined up. Maybe we can do a quick. It's only 6 questions. Do you want to do a quiz or just take Q&A? I don't care which one.
If we're doing a quiz, I'll probably knock off. I've had a long day today, so I'll probably.
All right, we'll take some questions then. We'll field some questions.
No, let's have a quiz. Knock off.
Yeah, he wants CD going after those ratings. It's just like.
Here we go. The first one from John Polly.
You're just so negative.
Who will be our ruckman if Nate goes down for an extended period of time? Grok.
If Nate goes down for an extended period of time, you'd have to say right now it would be either Campbell Gray as the makeshift or it'll be OHB. I can't see any other player filling that role.
Yeah, it's a bit alarming, isn't it? If that's where I think Oliver Hayes-Brown should be available shortly, which would be good. CB, will Smiley ever play a game for us? Round 11, that's my tip. There you go. That's my tip.
Look, he'll play. Look, I'm thinking probably round 6 we'll probably see something of him in the VFL.
Well,
but that's 7 weeks away, so that's what I think.
For EJ, do you think, given how well we performed last year, we've been getting ahead of ourselves for how we'll go this year?
Yes. 100%. I was actually talking to CB about this unrealistic expectation that seems to be permeating through the supporter base. We want to see improvement, but we've got people talking up ridiculous notions.
Well, if we go back to the
mofo. You just criticise me for being negative.
Double talking jive.
Criticise me for being negative, and then you just tip a fucking bucket on the season. Outrageous.
No. Are you an expert in straw man? Do you understand the difference between unrealistic expectations and negativity? Do you understand the difference?
Come on, man.
Let's go back to the show we did where we tried to predict the wins for the season. I think we had about 7 or 8 wins or games that we said were winnable or that we should win, and there was a cluster of about 5 or 6 that were gettable. Does 7 or 8 still feel like a realistic expectation, or does anything change after pre-season? Where do you sit with that now?
Like, if anyone got ahead of themselves, I'll put my hands up with my big call for the year of 10 wins. I think I managed gone above, but it reminds me so much of 20 years ago, where every preseason there's that eternal hope that things are going to be better this year, like we're going to be better than last year. But yeah, I still think, again, 6 or 6, 7. No, I won't do it. Seven should be about where we're aiming for. If we're being serious, 7 wins should be what we're aiming for. But more importantly, it's the improvement to the percentage. That will be the key indicator this year, is the percentage at the end of the season.
Will Swansea play round 1? I'm still saying yes. I don't know how long it will last after that, but I think he will. I wouldn't be mad if Rechko played though.
Yeah, I'd rather Rechko win than Swansea.
Hey, EJ, don't say what my son said, but how was my son's reaction to you when the name Swansea got brought up on the phone today?
Wasn't the most positive reaction I've ever heard.
A lot of people are asking, what number do we think Burton will get this year?
What 3 numbers do you have?
I would guess a number in the late 40s or early 50s, being an SSP player. But we'll have to see.
Bring Marlon's number out, number 50.
Oh, because Campbell Gray's 51, isn't he? So yeah, he could do 50. Why not? Where have we got? I'm trying to see if there's any other questions. I think that was about it.
31 and 37 are free. I could see him in 37.
37's cursed.
Are we going to get on top of the injuries this year?
Campbell Gray
seems to be half the reason we have a shit year. Gray's 50. Okay. The injuries. I mean, there has to come a point where our luck changes, surely.
Injuries are part of a contact sport.
Quite a bit recent. I know, and sometimes shit happens. I get that, but it'd be nice to avoid some of that for a little while. It makes a big difference.
As much as I hate seeing the injury list as long as it is, we can't really be too unhappy with it, considering the dynasty era that we had. When we did get injuries, they were only 1 or 2 weekers. We didn't have that extended injury list that a lot of clubs did. We had a pretty black run.
What? 2019, we got destroyed. 2019 was the best flag out of the 3.
Yeah,
we got destroyed by injury in 2019.
In the other years, though, we had a pretty good run compared to a lot of the other contenders. So the fact now that we're not competing, I'd much rather get injuries now than when we're a finals side competing and then having 12, 13 players on the injury list pre-season.
We'll do a couple more. Icebreaker wants us to give a breakout player for the year. For him, it's Harry Armstrong. CB, who's your breakout player?
Mate, you know I've loved Harry Armstrong for a couple of years, so I'm more than happy to have my boy Harry have a breakout year. I'm actually, to be honest, I much as I want to see Harry and Jonty tear it up, I am excited for a guy like McAuliffe to get his go on the wing and actually tear it up as well. So I'll give him that one. And look, I'd love to see Josh Smythe get on the park and actually have an impact. So there you go. There's me Ruffy. Get Josh on the field and let's see what he can do.
EJ, you're going with the man over your shoulder. Kane McCall, breakout year.
If he stays fit, he will play every game this year.
Can I ask one? How far away is Preseason from what you guys have heard?
I heard he's in Sorrento.
I would still think
It's all
a few weeks, but it hasn't really been updated. hasn't been updated, I don't think. So I'd still be guessing a few weeks. He wasn't out there doing the light session, I don't think. So take that for what it's worth. EJ, who's your breakout player?
McAuliffe.
Come on, man.
If he stays fit.
Sorry, Grok.
I think people know who I would suggest, but for me, I'm going to say Morris Jr. I think this will be the year that he really breaks out. If not him, and it's definitely not going to be Michael's boy Samson Ryan. We've been burnt with that bridge. If not Morris Jr., I'll say Campbell Gray.
I like the Morris Jr. one. Maybe I'll back Jasper in. Jasper Elgar.
I'm surprised you didn't follow him into the showers in the VFL game after.
Yeah, I wasn't there at half times. It was, Rod, I did mention about a meetup. That's still possible. Now, for full transparency, when I did say that back in Feb, I actually thought it was Richmond's home game. So I don't know where I'm sitting currently, but once I know that and I know what gate it's near, I will post where I'll pop out for a chat. But that'll be pretty much it for tonight, gents. Next week, for the live show, we will try and pick our best 23 for the round one game because there's obviously no game to review. So we'll focus our energy on that, which will be a good bit of fun and a big challenge, no doubt. That should be good. But gents, thank you for jumping on tonight. Appreciate your time as always. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. A shout out again to Aussie Ringwood. Thank you for your love and support. Make sure if you are wanting to buy a new house or you want to refinance, and you can save some serious dollars even just by refinancing your home loan and going with a better option, or you've got a personal loan, whatever it might be, hit up Luke at Aussie Ringwood and he will sort you out 100%.
Or if you've got a gambling problem, get a house, put it on Tigers round one at $2.
Yeah, wow.
Actually,
I don't know about the legalities of this CB, so I'm just going to add to that. Please gamble responsibly.
Yes, definitely. Jasper, not sure if there'll be any other VFL action for me. Hopefully, I've flagged interest that I will help if they ever want me back to help out. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure if anything got mentioned on the club's podcast or not, but happy to help out again if it ever arises. So, did you do something else, Grok?
Yeah, speaking of round one, if anyone hasn't seen it, I strongly suggest you check out Dan Does Footy's rant that he went on today about the Richmond-Carlton game and the consequences of what will happen if Richmond knock Carlton off. So if you ever need more ammo for wanting Richmond to beat Carlton, check that video out. It is great. Very good. Well, we'll have Tigs on tomorrow night, and then, we'll get through the rest of the week. Look forward to opening rounds. It's just good that footy's back, I guess, and we'll kick our feet up and we'll reconvene on Monday to see how we can beat the Blues. Have a wonderful night, everybody, and until the next one, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, all right.